Hello everyone, welcome to another Lazy New video. Again, we're looking at Space Engineers 2, and today we're going to look at making a functional door inside Space Engineers 2. Again, we're going to go from 0 to 100%, so we'll not skip a single step, we'll do it all, and you can follow along. If you've got any questions, ask below, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Um, we're going to rush through the Blender part of it, so this isn't a Blender tutorial by any means. Um, so if you have trouble with things like the fractures and you're having trouble following along, there is a video on fractures previously you can have a look at. But we're going to start making a new general file, excuse me, and of course deleting all the stuff and then creating our own cube. We're going to bring out our menu with N and we're going to make this 2.5 by 0.25 and 0.25. We're going to make the most simple door you can imagine. I said this isn't a Blender tutorial. We're going to duplicate this, just move it along with Y, duplicate it again so we have 3. We're just going to reset all of the transforms on these. And then this one is going to be our horizontal. We're just going to change the height to 2 meters and then rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis, so we have that. We're then going to just turn on our vertex snapping and just snap all these together. There we go, we have our door frame. Nice and easy. And everything's reset. Now we're going to make our doors. We're going to do, excuse me, we're going to do dual sliding doors, so I can show you how to do multiple subparts. And we're just going to create a cube, and we're just going to make it half of this, so it's basically a meter, isn't it? So it's a meter along the y-axis and 0.25 on that axis, and then it's going to be 2.25 on the z-axis. We're just going to get that into place, whichever side it wants to go. Duplicate it, and there we go. Is that all lined up? Yes, it is. So we have our doors. Now, when you guys make your own doors, you're going to want to make these sides as thick or almost as thick as these doors. So when the doors move, they're going to go like that, and it's going to look like that in game as well. So I'm doing this as a demonstration. If you're making a door, you'll just want to make sure that when you model it, the doors and the frame kind of matches up, so you've got something for these to sink into. We're just going to go and reset all our transforms on all of these, because we need to make sure everything's got the same orientation point, or it'll just cause us issues later. Let's make some collections. So we want our frame. We need our fractures, and we need our collisions. And of course we need door left and door right. So this one is door right. Here we go. This one is door left. Okay, I'm going to duplicate those for our collisions. I'm going to duplicate them again for our fractures. And then these 3 there are the frame. And we're going to just get rid of the other things there. So our frame, we're just going to join those into one. Excuse me. Okay. We're going to use these collisions for everything. We're going to open up our V-Rage stuff, and we're going to make sure to add rigid bodies to all of our collisions here. and then we're basically ready to start to export things. Before we do that, let's just make the bounding boxes for our doors just by duplicating these. Okay, so those done. Let's add rigid bodies to these so we don't forget. Happy days. And then we want our fractures kind of meet up. And these, because we copied them, these are all in sync, so these are all the same. So we just go to fractures, let's make 3 new groups. Assign, deselect, assign, deselect, assign, deselect. Okay, that's all cool. What we need to do now is start to think of this. So let's go to test mods, accept, and let's go frame. And let's export our frame as LOD0. And then our collisions here as the collisions. There we go. We then want to go to, I'll do that later. We'll make, no, we'll do it. We'll go to none, and we'll just do our door left and collision and door right. And collision. Okay, and then we want to do our fractures. Back to frame. And just grab all of those. And then grab all of those. And that is pretty much all that we need to do in Blender, unless we need to come back to something because I've misclicked or something. So over to VRage. Hopefully this shows in the display there. This is a brand new scene. So we'll start by importing our files. So let's go to test mods. Let's grab in. Actually, let's make ourselves some things. I don't want to just import the folder just because it won't give us our door stuff. So the easiest way is just to do it this way. Let's create models. And then I need door L, door right. So import files for the door left, which is just these ones. Snap the model to grid. This is painted metal yellow, and same on the door right. Oh, excuse me. Painted metal yellow, and make sure that this is snapped to grid. There we go. Then we're going to import folders, so we can just grab our fractured, remembering to snap to grid, and then our non-fractured, again snapping to grid. And this is just painted metal colorable, and same in the non-fractured. Painted metal colorable. So now we've imported our models, they've all got a texture on there, and the only errors we should really have are these LODs, and we're not going to bother with LODs for this. So next thing we're going to do is make ourselves definitions file, and we want frame door L and door R. Okay, frame, we're going to create a prefab. This is going to be a normal block, a breakable block, and the doors prefab, which does most of the work for us. Okay, here we go. As you can see, all this has come expanded. Let's just close all this stuff. There's most of it we can ignore. And then we're going to click this and sort out this triangle because it wants our model file. So we just get our non-fractured model into there. And while we're at it, we'll get our fractured model into the fractured and the deformed settings there. And we go back to our definitions here. I've not got any errors. If you're getting errors up here about block colliders, it usually means that a rigid body hasn't been applied properly. So that's just going back to your Blender file, checking to make sure that that's all right, and then you should be set. The next thing we need to do is basically add some components here. The easiest way to find out what they are, or one of these ways, if you just go to the vanilla assets, look at blocks, look at doors, you can go into here and you can click this, click the subparts one, and it'll basically, you just copy it pretty much identically apart from like one or two things. I have a cheat sheet, which hopefully this will display properly, which I will include as a link down the bottom of this video. You can just download this to keep that and just have that as a reference, so you don't have to just keep jumping between vanilla blocks and your own block. We basically just need in this, we basically only need 2 extra blocks, and that's going to be the conditional subparts component and the functional block animation control component. You'll notice that it doesn't have this one, but this we don't need. So we're going to get started and just add our conditional subparts component and our functional block animation control component. Functional block animation control component. Now this is going to ask for a definition, which basically is the conditional subparts component. You need to click that plus button there to create the definition. And scrolling back up to our actual frame definition, it'll always create it just there right next to it. I'm assuming you've got everything defaultly named. And what it has is this. It's got subparts, it wants a dummy, and it wants a prefab. Now you can't just drag this prefab in there, or you can, but it won't do anything. Let's just switch that to none. This prefab wants to be for one of our doors. And this dummy, which we'll make now, we'll make the dummy now. So we just go to this block model definition. You'll see this dummy bit here. We just add elements. We're going to add 2 dummies at the minute. Our first one, we need to have, so we can actually open the door. So we can look at the frame, we press F, or if you want to make a control box, you'll look at that, press F, and then the door will open. So use door, and the dummy, for this one, we're just going to hit the 3 dots, and we're just going to search for door, and we're just going to use this use door definition, because that's all set up. You don't really need to do anything further apart from position the actual dummy, excuse me, which you can basically do at your leisure. You can either use this, or in the debug settings, there's an option where you can just use the gimbal in there to just position it wherever you want. So that's the use door. The next one we're going to do is add a dummy for our actual door. So we'll do door left first. And this one we're going to have to click the plus to create our own definition for door left. Just call it door left. There's nothing we need to do inside this file. It's just a reference to the dummy that we then pop into this. But we do need to make our prefab now. So for that, let's go into our door left folder, and we need to create prefab, and it is the empty client only prefab that we're going to make. If you do just the normal empty one, it won't work. I've never tried it with the server only prefab, but I'm again assuming it doesn't work. So it's the empty only one. Click that, just call it like a door left or whatever naming convention you'd like, and this will come up like this. And again, it's just using this here to copy this across pretty much. The only difference with this one is if you search for hierarchy component, you won't find it. This hierarchy component gets added when you add the parent renderer component, and the model component gets added when you add the model render component. So basically, you just add child transform, model render, parent render, and then the translation animation component. So I can move that over there, and hopefully that doesn't mess the video up. So let's add in our parent render adapt component. As you see, it's added the hierarchy component there. We're going to add in our model render component. There you go. As you see, it's added the model component there as well. We're then going to add in the child transform component, if I can actually spell. There we go. And then the last thing we need to add is our translation animation component. Now this one's a bit different. So we just click the animation tab and we've got all our options listed here. So this is the translation animation component. So we can move things back and forth. If you want to do it rotation, all you do is you do the rotation animation component instead. And if you're doing like another block and you've done this slightly differently for other blocks, but you've got your infinite rotation support, generic animation components there. So have a mess around, experiment, see what works, things like that. A lot of cool effects you can do with all this stuff. But for now, we're just going to do the translation animation component. Now it's going to want two definitions of us, these two here for the model component and for the translation animation component. So we'll do the model component first, and all it wants to do is to link our model to it. So that's our door left, drag across, and that's happy. And then this here is our actual animation. So if we set that to say 1 meter a second, and we want it along the z-axis, and we want it to move a meter, for example, then that's all we do. We go back to our frame now, because we need to now link all this stuff up. And we do this with this, so we just drag our dummy over to there, and then the prefab that we've just made, we just drag that over to there, and then we just hit add element. And as you'll see, we've now got a door that spawned there. This should now be fully functional. So if we go to the preview settings tab, now if you don't have this tab, just go over to the top left here, click preview settings, scroll right the way down to the bottom, and just click this button there. That'll bring this up for you. There's a lot of cool stuff in here that you can look at. If you're having issues with something, things aren't lining up, there's an option in here that's going to help you out with that. But for us, we're going to scroll right down to the bottom and look at our animation previews, and we just need to toggle animation, and you can see that our door is now sliding. And you can see why that when you make your own doors, you'll make a frame that can basically support the door there. So we still need to add the other one, and we do it in pretty much the same way, no matter how many you want to add. I don't know what the limit is, but I have made it with 8 subparts. You can look on the Steam Workshop. It just goes up and all the subparts kind of stack into each other into a really thin bezel, which is kind of cool. So all we need to do is create our client-only prefab again, call it door, right, and we're going to add our components in again. Without spaces, parent render, hit the model render. We need the child transform component, and then we just need our translation animation component, and a quick plus on both of those because we need to add our model. And then we need to do this like -1 and 1, so it goes in the opposite direction. Go to our frame. Now we need another dummy, so we need to go to here and just add another element. Give it a plus, call it door R. Excuse me. Give that a plus, call it door R. And then we just need to drag and drop into here. Door R, add element, and the door appears. Go to the preview settings, and we should now see it opens like so. And now if we just start game, ignoring our LOD errors, obviously I would recommend that you do LODs. They are skippable if you do really want to, though. You can safely ignore those triangle warnings. It's the red ones you've got to watch out for. So hopefully this is still recording properly. The screen hasn't gone black or anything. Give us a like and a subscribe if you're finding this useful. Oh, it's being really weird. There we go. Move this over to here, so you should hopefully see this. New game. Yeah, if you've got any questions, any suggestions, anything you need explaining, I was thinking next time I do a video on the materials, some interesting things you could do with those. Yeah, all open to ideas. Now we did leave this at default, so it should just be under the doors. So we'll do that when this loads up. Smashing. You search for doors. Grab our door here. Press R. So we've got our door here. Right, so there we go. Well, we've got our middle, so that's good. And there we go. And our door opens. Happy days, there we go. And then all you need to do is get yourself a thumbnail and whatever you need to do. Quick thing about subparts, they currently don't have anything enabled, so they are just walkthroughable. When you're making like these, press F to open. These have to go onto the frame somewhere. So if you're making like a keypad or something, you'll just position it there. Obviously, I just left it in the default position, so it's just there. You can make these big, so it covers the entire frame. You can make them small, so it's like a tiny button that you've got to actually aim for. You can't attach it to the actual door itself. I don't know if that'll change when magic things happen and these get mass or physics or whatever. And also you can't recolor this subpart either. So currently you can only, even if I were to recolor that and this had color enabled, it wouldn't work. So there's a couple of limitations on these, but yeah. Looking forward to see what your guys' ideas are, looking for some interesting designs and things like that. If you have a look at my Steam workshop, which I will link down, you'll see that I've done an iris door and that big door that I mentioned before. So you got a lot of freedom to do a lot of different things. All right, well, take care, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Any comments, questions, suggestions, just pop them below, and I'll see you next time.